everybody. Welcome to Talking Heartland. This is the show where we are recapping back seasons of Heartland TV show. And we are on season 11, episode 1, 2, and 3. It's the beginning of season 11. Can you believe it, Michelle?
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, to think that we started this just to for something to do during the pandemic,
Yeah.
to being like a decade into TV, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was hesitant to start recapping Heartland, even though I knew it had such a big fan base. And whenever we had our interview with Heather and we had interview with Amber Marshall, both did really well. So I knew it would do well, but there was part of me was like, who's going to sign up for this? But you were so nice.
Well, yeah, I've just loved watching this show. Like, it's been so fun. And I feel like I would have watched it, but I really don't know if I tend to sort of take breaks when the show is so long. I mean, even I've just started watching When Calls the Heart, and I got sort of halfway through season 1, and I'm like, okay, I need to take a break, and I go back to it. But like having a schedule, and getting through
it helps.
episodes, yeah, it really helps.
Especially when you have a rough patch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when I during the Christmas season, because we take a break during then, I really missed it.
Yeah.
But I would say that these 3 episodes are some of the strongest that we've covered as a group. I thought they really hit it out of the park with season 11.
Yeah, for sure. Like, for me, it was just a complete return to form for me. Like, it felt like classic Heartland. And even though Lou was missing, it felt more sort of family orientated. It didn't feel like there was all these different elements sort of moving around like season 10.
Yeah.
It felt like so much was happening and we're jumping around so much, but this felt very sort of back to basics.
Well, and I said last season that they should have just had Ty not be there. Like, you don't even need really an explanation, or just like you have a line here or there. And that's basically what they did with Lou in these episodes.
Yeah.
And that's the way to go for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, he's doing some training. He's doing some vet training. Like, that's all they had to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of putting us through that trauma.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the first episode is called Baby on Board. And in this episode, we have Ty and Amy getting used to baby Lindy. And they have his mother coming to visit and see the baby, and he's very hesitant about having his mother around the baby. And then also you have a new horse, Flame, that gets spooked at the beginning of the episode, and Val wants Amy to help the horse, and Georgie starts working with it as well. And we also have Ty trying to buy a truck. So kind of a lot going on. But it's interesting because a lot of times people say that bringing on a baby is kind of the death of a show. And I think part of it, particularly with sitcoms, that's usually true. That's why they stretch out, couples getting married or, having a baby, because I think maybe because the jokes just become so predictable.
Yeah.
That you're going to get. And I don't know. But in this case, I feel like there's a breath of fresh air in this season because of little Lindy.
Yeah. And you're seeing sort of all these different sides to the characters. I mean, when you think back of like season 1 Ty, and then you see him in these episodes of just like total dad mode, like it's like night and day. Yeah, and just the whole sort of family sort of around the baby, like it's just so flawless. And I like the fact that we had a little bit of a time jump, so that it did feel like we were watching these people sort of in their routines, and we didn't sort of do the early sort of newborn stage.
Right.
I feel like they picked the right time to sort of pick back up again.
Yeah. And these little twins that they got to play Lindy
Oh my
are
god.
so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew they were cute from like Amber Marshall's Instagram, but obviously they're a lot older in the posts that I've seen. So like to go right back to like months old is crazy. They're so cute. Like
Oh,
so cute.
really, there are Ruby and Manuela Spencer. And that is just a cute baby.
For
They
sure.
did a very good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I was trying to remember the place where we left Ty's mother. Do you
hmm
remember the last time we saw her?
Um,
I guess she
it's
didn't come to
difficult.
the wedding, is what
Yeah,
they were
she didn't
saying.
come to the wedding. I think the last we saw her, she was going to rehab. And it was difficult because she didn't come back, but the stepfather did. So we saw sort of more of him than we have her. I don't know if maybe it was scheduling or what have you, but we sort of got updates that she was in rehab and then back out, and it was sort of successful for her, and she was you know back
Yeah.
living her life again. But yeah, she just hasn't been on the show.
And it's interesting because and it's not fair really to pigeonhole Megan Follows
hmm
as Anne Shirley, but I so just relate her to Anne Gables that when she plays a more complex character like this, it's like, wow, she's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, like I have not seen Anne of Green Gables. It's
Oh,
my like great
Michelle.
shame. Yeah, no, no. I haven't seen any of the movies, any of the new one. I haven't seen any of them. So yeah.
Well, it's really just the 1985 Anne of Green Gables.
Okay.
That the
There
rest,
was
I
no
mean,
TV movies or anything.
yeah, yeah, it was I think a miniseries, like 3 episodes at the time, 3 or 4, uh, but it just plays like a movie when you watch it,
Mhm.
kind of like the Colin Firth Pride and Prejudice, kind of in that way,
All
but
right. Yeah.
but it's so good. Oh, it's one of my favorite of anything ever. The sequel is fine, not as good though. And then there's a newer one from like 2006, 2000, something like that. That's terrible. Don't watch that one.
Okay.
Just watch the I mean, I just she's brilliant in it. All the casting is so good. I just absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things.
Okay. I will.
But
I will take your recommendation on board.
uh but but anyway, I see her
Yeah,
so
it's hard.
much as
Yeah,
that
it's so.
it can be tricky, but
Yeah,
she's a really good actress, I think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, like, try to think. Probably the most recent one is Katie Sackhoff in A Christmas Movie. Like, Cara
Yeah.
Grace. Like, I've met Katie like a couple of times, and she's so different to obviously like a character on Battlestar Galactica, but
Mm,
that character just meant so much to me, and she's so like
yeah.
when I see Katie, like I think of Cara Grace, like that character is just so ingrained in her.
Yeah.
Like seeing her in A Christmas Movie this past year was like crazy. It was like,
I hope to
what's
see
happening?
them way more because I
Yeah, I
loved
mean, I
her. But
hope so.
but
Yeah,
yeah, no, I get it. Another one for me is Amy Teagarden. She's Julie.
yeah, she's
Friday Night
Julie. I
Lights.
feel like that way with all of the Friday Night Lights boys. Like,
It's which is not fair. Like I
not
get
fair.
it. Like that must be
No,
so frustrating for these
yeah,
actors.
yeah.
But at least I don't let it like stop me from still enjoying their work.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, but Ty's pretty rough on his mom in this episode. He's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was sort of a combination of both things of, but I did think it was interesting and very good on the show to sort of have the conversation between his mum and Tim, because he can't say, well, I don't want my mum to be around the baby because of her past, when Tim had a really similar issues. So
yeah.
So I do like the fact that they sort of brought in the fact that, he had those dreams about his dad, and it was sort of a combination of things, because I really don't feel like it would have been fair to put all of that on her.
And yeah, I agree. And they have this insane app. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
I
Like, get into the fire. Like, oh my God.
like I am not obviously a mother, so take my advice on this topic with a grain of salt. But I mean, I've never heard ever of a baby sleeping every 90 minutes. What? That's crazy.
It was crazy. Look, Amy was such a saint for like just letting him do his thing. But yeah, even Amy was just like, yeah, he's gone too far.
When Lily gives the Lammy toy and Ty rejects that. I mean, that was
That was
hard.
brutal.
It was
Yeah, that was
brutal.
really, yeah.
But I think it's kind of like I don't know if they have these Pampers ads and the is where you're at that, but there's these ones where it's like first kid and they show them like doing all of these like prestige things, like making everything perfect, and then like second kid, they're like bringing him into the shower and rinsing him off, stuff like that. I think that there's probably some truth to that, and I bet that would
Yeah,
be the
for
case
sure.
with Ty and Amy if they ever
Yeah.
if they'd
I
had
say I
more
don't have kids
kids.
either, but yeah, I've definitely seen that from like, family members and, things like that, of just being
Mhm.
so like hyper aware of everything, like the firstborn. But the more kids come along, the more they just sort of take care of each other and go with the flow.
That was definitely true in my family because my mom had 3 babies when I was like older. When I was 10, 16, and 18.
Mhm.
So yeah, we definitely had some co-parenting going on there.
My
But
God.
yeah. So so we have this horse, he gets spooked at the beginning, and then Val brings it to Amy, and she acted like she had never met Georgie before. Like, did you feel that? I thought it was so
Yeah.
weird. I'm like, this girl literally did a whole report on you.
Yeah, she was like, "What's Georgie doing here?" I was like, "What are you talking?" She's basically like Amy's little shadow.
Yeah. I thought that was really strange.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
but I
love
guess
Val. Like, I know that people hate her, but I feel like she just brings so much, especially in this is the kind of drama that I want from this show. Like, I don't want people falling off of cliffs and rock
right.
slides. Like, I just love people like Val coming in and just causing chaos.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it gets you want it to get a little bit spicy,
Yeah.
a little bit campy, in your
Mhm.
drama in this kind of show, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise it could just get boring.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but Lily tells Ty that the real hazard is not having a baby gate. But I mean, and he is right that she's not crawling or, mobile at this point. So it's a good
Mhm.
point. But she's not going to get hurt from a little blanket like a
Yeah.
toy.
Yeah. Like the fact that he was like, yeah, it's just gonna like cover her face and she's gonna suffer. Like, he was just on another level. In this episode. It
Yeah.
sort of went
And
from really like charming and endearing to like you're really alienating people here.
yeah. And she offers to babysit,
Mhm.
which I think most new parents, if
Mhm.
somebody offered to babysit, they probably just sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah. Because
rough those first few months.
they always say like you sleep when the baby sleeps, like any opportunity, but when the baby's sleeping every 90 minutes, that's not really ideal. And 20-minute naps every 90 minutes, like that's that's not good for the baby or them.
It does seem like Scott has given Ty paternity leave,
Oh,
so
yeah, a
props to
lot of time
Scott.
off. Yeah. Yeah, he's had like a year off.
because he's just getting back in the next, I think it's the next episode, just getting back to work.
Yeah.
And she's looks what, 3 months, something like that. So I thought we had such, well, actually, so Ty buys this truck from this guy. They say, oh, we need a new truck, because his truck is like a vintage truck. And he sees one for sale on the side of the road. He buys it. It's a lemon. And he tries to fix it. It won't work. So Jack goes out there, tries to talk to the guy. He ends up selling him one of his Longhorns to get the refund, quote unquote. And he gives it to Ty. And I just thought it was a lovely scene between the two of them, where he asks Ty about the dream. He says, I think that dream is plaguing you, and you might be overcompensating. You need to relax and treasure this time more. You don't want to spend it all on worrying.
Yeah, for sure. It goes by so quick. Like even me, just like, again, I don't have kids, but just watching my friends' kids grow up, and like it just goes by so quick. Like birthdays come around so quickly, and yeah, he's just spending so much time anxiety ridden, like stressing out about everything. That he's not really enjoying this time period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this scene, and anytime they sort of have these sort of father son scenes with Jack and Ty, I definitely missed them these past couple of seasons, because yeah, it's just been a little bit all over the place with Ty.
Yeah, it's whenever we get sort of Jack giving his, hard worn wisdom, whether it's Jack and Mallory or Jack and Georgie or Jack and Ty, it's always a good moment.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice moment of this episode, I thought. And I mean, I've been thinking about that lately, because my niece is graduating from high school in June, and I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like the older time just flies by now. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the older you get, the quicker it just goes by.
Yeah, and they live out east. I live in Utah, and I don't get to see them that often. And sometimes I feel like I kind of keep them, that keep my nieces in as children. I'm like, no,
Yeah, you just sort of
basically young adults at this point.
Yeah, you've just sort of pressed pause, and they've just
Yeah.
continued on.
So it's really surreal. She's going to be going off to college. I don't know how that happened, but that's definitely was a nice moment between Ty and Jack. And yeah, we have Georgie with Flame. Val is kind of suspect about it all, but then Georgie ends up riding Flame bareback, and that horse was beautiful. That was one of the most beautiful horses that we've seen.
Yeah, I feel like they do such a good job of like showing the scale of the horse, because they have a lot of sort of smaller horses on the show, but that looks like that looks like a horse you would see in the Olympics. Yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, he really was, and just really pretty, I thought. And so then Ty ends up apologizing to Amy, and then to his mom, and then I just made me laugh. I was like, their Canadian was showing all over the place in this episode. I'm sorry. Are you sorry?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing when I watch things like Degrassi, and oh, it's so good. It's such a good accent.
And then we end with them dancing on the truck that like they had when Amy was in high school.
Oh,
And
such a
that,
beautiful
oh,
moment.
it was so good. It was really, really, that was a great way to end the episode. So
Mhm.
it was a good start, I think.
Yeah.
But what would you give this one?
Like an 8.5.
I
Yeah,
think
put
that's
it way
good.
up, way up
Yeah.
there. Yeah, way up there.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies Podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Yeah. All right. So then the next episode is called Highs and Lows. And this episode is mostly about Georgie finds out that the man who killed her parents in a drunk driving accident is close by and is out of jail. And she goes to visit him. And there's some conflict and different things, and they end up at the end having this meeting together face to face. This episode, I really think, is peak Heartland. This episode was great.
Yeah, like I sobbed during that scene. Like, so well done.
And peak Peter. I mean,
yeah.
When she says that about her dad.
Oh my God! Like when I noticed that he was crying, like it's that thing of when you see a man crying, it just gets you.
It was really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, and then even you had like comic relief with this whole skunk thing. This will get a very high score for me. I thought this episode was really good.
Yeah, for sure.
And even a great little plot for Lisa and Jack. I mean, it was just so good.
Yeah, that was so interesting, and I'm so curious to see if they take it forward.
So we have Ty going back to work at the beginning. So like I said, way to go, Scott, giving place paternity leave.
Yeah, Scott's going on a break now.
Yeah.
Oh, the work he's had to do.
I would. Yeah. And Lisa gets flowers delivered to her from somebody named Fernand. And Jack is very concerned. He's trying to play not concerned, but I think that's reasonable. If somebody sent your wife flowers like that. Yeah,
I feel like he would have been suspect, but not really done anything about it. I feel like Tim is just he knows exactly how to push his buttons of just poke at him a little bit and then just walk away. And he can wind him up so well.
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely Tim. And this was a pretty good Tim episode though.
Yeah.
He was like pretty nice to Peter. He was pretty nice to Mitch.
That's the best you can ask for.
Yeah. So Tim goes over to work on the Dude Ranch because there's some people that are going to be coming, and there's a skunk in the Dude Ranch. Oh, skunk. But he gets Mitch to help him. He says Mitch was supposed to do it anyway.
Yeah. He's supposed to winterproof the place.
Yeah. And he says, why would I pay $300 to some pest control person when you were supposed to do it to begin with?
I feel like he just did this to annoy Mitch. Like, there's no other reason, no saving money. It was just to annoy him for what he did to Lou, which, fair enough.
So they put out the trap, and when they're working with this guy, and he says, you stink. not that bad. It's not good. That was funny. but yeah, when so then the next morning when they get the skunk, they throw the duvet cover over it. And I mean, I don't even know what you do with how. I mean, I would probably call a specialist just because I wouldn't know how to deal with it. And
yeah,
I guess that's the worst. And according to Ty, you don't use tomato juice to get rid of it. That's an old wives' tale. I think I would probably try just about anything.
Yeah, I would try anything.
But yeah, and him and Mitch kind of talk, and Mitch says, I'd like to let sleeping dogs lie, and he says it was time to move on, so I moved on.
Yeah, I just didn't tell Lou that it was time to move on.
Right.
I've only seen you.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because they were evidently close enough that he went to New York with her.
Mm-hmm.
But
like they were like an official couple.
Mm-hmm. So, but then we have, I really liked Georgie and Jade in this and their closeness, and Jade going with her to meet this guy named Charles. And she goes to his house and she just kind of knocks on his door, sees that he has a wife and baby. And then as she's leaving, she destroys his sign. And Jade was just really supportive, and I like to see that.
Yeah, I wrote down that, she's such a good friend in this episode. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she can be so... I don't really have, strong feelings either way when it comes to Jade. Mm-hmm. But I feel like with it comes to the rodeo thing of like, it's a good storyline and that, they have a young woman doing all of these things. But she's not exactly a team player. She's, very ambitious, which can sometimes come across not well. So it was nice to sort of see her out of that world a little bit, and take her back to just,
yeah. Well, and I didn't really, yeah, I didn't really like her and Clay either last season.
Yeah, that was a waste of time considering that he, just that faded into nothing.
Yeah.
I felt like it was just build up for them to break up an episode later.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't care to begin with.
Yeah. So it turns out that this Charles guy, he files a complaint with the sheriff, and he comes, and Georgie and Jade have to admit what they did. And then Jack calls in Peter.
Yeah.
And he says to Georgie, you can't put the genie back in the bottle this time. You're going to have to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we have Charles showing. So Jack goes to Charles and explains what is happening. And then he shows up at Heartland. And I mean, I don't know. They have this meeting and it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was really well written. And it was so interesting in terms of like, Georgie's in such a difficult position of like she has no memories of her parents.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, she understands that what was taken from her, and also she doesn't understand what was taken from her because she never got to experience life with her parents. So it's such a difficult thing, and I love the line of like, she can't forgive something she doesn't remember. Like, it's so difficult. And felt like the actress did such a great job. Like, she was given such a heavy storyline, and just carried it off so well.
Yeah, I mean, they really struck gold with Alicia. She was such a strong young actress.
Yeah, and again, just seeing her grown up in screen is, she just looks so much more grown up from season 10 to season 11 yet again.
Yeah. Peter says sometimes the best way to get past something is to face it head on.
Yeah,
And
Peter was so good.
Oh, he was so good in this episode. And so yeah, Charles and Georgie meet, and she says, I can't, like you said, she says, I can't forgive you for something I don't remember, but you can make me a promise instead. Promise me you'll tell Jillian, his baby, you love her every day. Be the kind of dad that will fly in from anywhere just to be with her. It was so sweet.
Oh, so sweet. Yeah, the second Peter broke down, I was gone at that point.
Yeah, it was really, really, really good. And then, I mean, I guess if I was nitpicking, I might not have had the whole like horror movie moment with Charles. That was a little much, but whatever. You know, where she has that dream.
Oh yeah, the nightmare. Yeah, that was yeah, that was sometimes they do that in this show of like they try to do like a completely different tone when they're having like a really meaningful sweet episode, and it's like, yeah, not the time.
Yeah. And so Amy and Ty start thinking about who they want to be guardians of Lindy if something were to happen. And they start to think, well, maybe Cass and Caleb, because
Oh my
Caleb comes
God.
over.
Oh.
And
oh my God. This was like emotional whiplash this episode.
yeah, it was so cute.
Was
He
so
brings her a
cute.
little gift and he's being so cute with Lindy. It was adorable.
Oh yeah, he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry James is so good in this Caleb. Yeah, like Amy just watching the
Yeah.
watching until, talk about Lindy and then what she's going to do in her future. Like, oh, he's so good.
Yeah, it was very, very sweet. And then they also have Jack talking to Lisa about Fernand. And it turns out that Lisa is broke and selling her house in France so that she doesn't have to fire any of her employees.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really sweet moment between Lisa and Jack.
Yeah, it's an interesting storyline and I like the fact that they did have her be sort of self-aware enough to be like, poor me having to sell my house in France. Like, she's broke, but she still has a lot of assets, and she can downsize and sort of make it work. But the fact that her employees were kind of what was most important to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Lisa. But I am interested to see if her business changes, and I would like to see them actually live together at one point.
No, I know. I wonder if that's ever going to happen. But
Yeah,
it was a
crazy.
sweet moment. Yeah, when he says that he's proud of her, he knows how much that house in France means to her, and but that she would put the well-being of her staff ahead of anything else. That he says, "I'm proud of you." It was very cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We also have Georgie with Flame, and it's just not working very well. There's something missing. And once she meets with Charles and kind of gets that burden off of her, then at the end, she's back in form with Flame. Yeah, this episode is as good as it gets. If you don't like this episode, this show's not for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, if you made it to 11 seasons, just keep going.
Yeah. I would give this a 10. This had it all as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. The only thing I would have liked is Lou to sort of be there, but again, like having her not there, it sort of slowed the episode down a little bit and gave it time to breathe. Because you had to have sort of Georgie be on her own. So yeah, like the performance alone, it's a 10 for me.
It was funny though, because she was on the phone saying that the duvet cost $600.
It's like, what can I do? What do, Ranch? God, these guys are getting some fancy duvets.
Yeah, evidently, this is like fine Egyptian cotton here.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I figured they just go to IKEA or
bulk buy, like seriously.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. So then the next episode is called Decision Time. And this episode is centered around Georgie. She has to decide whether she wants to be a trick rider or be a jumper. And we also have Amy and Ty having more baby drama because poor little Lindy is teething and it's tough. And then we also have more between Mitch and Jack makes the offer to be basically a partner with Mitch. So he might be back. And then we also have what did they call it? Bulldogging and that was very impressive. I mean, to watch this, Avery is this competition now for Jade and to watch this kind of small young woman take down and this, this pretty big calf it was impressive, I thought.
Yeah. I certainly wouldn't.
I mean, knowing nothing
have a go.
about rodeo at all, it was pretty impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Yeah, and you can sort of see how easily it would be to just like break bones constantly doing something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do so well with like the stunts as well. They actually have people to make it look like that is Jade, that is Avery, like, and even with the stuff with Tim, like they make it so flawless.
You watch it and you're just like, how does anybody do that?
Yeah.
They don't even have the guts to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just especially like Avery was just so small. So I felt,
Sure, yeah.
She took down this big calf. It was impressive to me. And so we also have Jade being, threatened by Avery. And I thought that it was a really well written kind of interchange between the two of them, because Avery talks about how she was hoping for a friend, somebody that she could relate to. And here it's disappointing to find out that she just sees her as a threat.
Yeah.
I thought that was well done.
Yeah, it was really well done. And I feel like it's interesting for Jade because again, she doesn't, it's not her greatest light, in this episode of, she doesn't take competition well. But if this is the thing that she wants to be involved in, like the whole point is competition. Like she's not always going to be the only. I don't know what she expects, that she's going to be the only woman to ever do this ever. So yeah, it was sort of nice, and I'm glad that she sort of came around, and again that they kept Avery just, that she just was a nice girl that wanted a friend. There didn't seem to be sort of a mean bone in her body. So yeah, it'll be interesting if we sort of see her again.
Yeah. So we also have this whole thing with Georgie and Olivia, and are we supposed to have forgotten that Olivia's been absolutely terrible?
Olivia's the worst. Like I wrote that down like 3 times throughout this one episode. Like she's the worst.
Yeah,
you don't care about this like friendship that you're trying to make us believe is a thing.
Yeah, Georgie's like, I don't know if I can quit trick riding because I'm so close with Olivia. Like, what?
Since when?
But evidently Olivia and Adam are now boyfriend girlfriend. But Olivia wants to.
Poor Adam. Like I just put like, Adam, bro, what's happening?
Yeah. I mean, he's just such a boring character. Yeah. And Georgie says, you're different when Olivia isn't around, and they kind of have a little talk. but I don't know, just not much to Adam. But it seems like a terrible match with Olivia.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You made your choices.
One thing that I do think you can tell that the baby Lindy is twins because just how much she is in these episodes.
Yeah.
She's in because they I don't know how to, it seemed like they didn't have a single scene where it was a doll, or something like that. You can usually tell.
Yeah.
It was always her, pretty much every scene.
Yeah, and they sort of got her to a point in age-wise where it'd be really hard to have a doll and not be able to tell. How many hours is it they're allowed to work? It's like an hour, isn't it? It's something like really, it's not much at all.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
really
the fact,
small.
yeah, I think it's like an hour. So it's like what they're able to do is with her in terms of the amount of time that she's in these. Maybe they do some sort of like block filming of doing all of her stuff at one time.
They really do
All
have
her stuff.
her in a lot in these
Yeah.
episodes. And
Mhm.
Cass and Caleb are super excited about being godparents, guardians, however you want to say it. But Ty and Amy are getting frustrated, getting tired. I mean, that teething, if a baby has colic or is sleep regression, as they call it here, it's brutal.
Yeah, I was laughing
Rough.
because like the second Ty said how perfect their life was, I was like, why would you say that? And
Yeah.
literally the second later, like having to go to the hospital, I'm like, oh my god, you two, stop it. Stop bringing bad luck upon yourself.
Yeah. And Caleb and Cass bring over dinner, and after they had dinner at Maggie's, and they are really, really, really peppy and excited, and Amy and Ty are just so tired. It's so hard when you're tired. You're just not yourself.
Yeah, you're like half a person.
Yeah. That's why you try to just be extra patient when your friends when they have new babies. Be extra nice, because it's really hard. And then we also have Tim thinking about firing Caleb, which I don't really understand why. He just thinks he's annoying.
Yeah, he just wasn't willing to work. I mean, it sort of goes back to the fact that he never planned on hiring Caleb to begin with. He just did it as a sort of a favour. But yeah, he seems really set in his ways and not open to anything that Caleb suggests or any sort of new training technique. Or yeah.
Yeah, but then there's a whole scene where Caleb defends Tim to all of the students, and Caleb has all of these ideas for
and he's like recruiting, and it's not like he's wasting his time. He's actually doing the job that he was hired for.
Yeah. And so Mitch becomes more involved with he helps Jack, and you can tell that he's not happy doing this desk job that he's doing.
He looks so bored.
Yeah, which I don't blame him. And so he works with Jack vaccinating the calves because Tim is slacking, and Jack makes an offer to Mitch that they could be a partner in the cattle business.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get to see more of Mitch.
Yeah. It's like Tim doesn't seem too happy, but when is he ever happy?
Right. So then Georgie, she is trying to do both the jumping and the trick riding. And she pulls a muscle in her stomach, in her chest, trying to get up on doing one of the tricks. That looks incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. It made me think, why isn't this an Olympic sport?
Yeah, it would be way more exciting than some of the stuff that they have in the Olympics.
Yeah. But Val basically says, like, you have to decide what it is you want to do. And
yeah, I mean, Val is brutal about it, but she's not wrong.
Yeah. And she decides at the end that she's quitting the extreme team and that she wants to go to the Olympics because Flame is a horse you can get to the Olympics on.
Yeah, and you love an Olympic story.
Yeah, that's true. And I appreciate it because I had this whole Olivia thing the whole time, that at the end when Georgie announced that she's quitting, you could see like, Olivia was like, yes. I was like, that's the Olivia. No.
Yeah, hopefully this is the end of Trick Riding in Olivia for now until a new character comes in and takes up the sport.
I could use less Olivia, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I thought about is, why have we not gotten Lindy a rock on the chimney?
I think we'll probably wait until she's older and do it herself. I feel like that'll be like a season 20 storyline.
Because I feel like with Katie, we got it was like a christening thing.
Oh, was it? Yeah, you're right.
Wasn't it? When she was just a baby. So it made me think, why have we not had? They're very, very fast and loose with their, because they didn't give one to Peter until they were divorced.
Yeah, poor Peter just got one after the divorce.
Lindy spits up all over Cass.
Oh, yeah. That was enough for them to say, yeah, we're not having a child yet.
I mean, really, you just got to have those drip cloths.
Yeah, considering like the things that she sees in a veterinarian like clinic, yeah, she's dealt with some gruesome stuff.
That's true. So I think that that if that undoes them, then they probably should wait
they shouldn't.
a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
Although it was a pretty big spit up. Most babies,
so
it's
much.
Just like a little. It's not.
Yeah.
Like a throw up.
Yeah, whatever sort of device they used in the stunts to like the overfill thing. Yeah. It was a lot.
Like, that's not really how it works unless they're actually like sick, not just a regular spit up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we covered everything on this episode.
Yeah, it was a sort of sparse episode.
It ends with Lindy's first laugh. That was so cute.
Yeah, that was cute.
Really adorable. So yeah, this one was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'd give it like, I think an 8.5.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So there we go. We did it. And episode 2 was so good. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with us that episode 2 was peak Heartland? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast on Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews, 5 stars. It really helps us a lot. It only takes a second of your time. We would be so grateful. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. Make sure to check out our various interviews we've done with Heartland actors and writers. So please take a look at that. And check out the Patreon group and merch store. We have Heartland inspired merch, and all that information is in the description. So thanks so much. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.